Hi everyone, it's Bob Perkins with AA-ISP's Inside Sales Studio and bringing you a special interview with Cyan Mokherjee. Cyan, how are you today?
Quite good, quite late at night over here, but it's glad to meet you over here at another part of
Okay, well let's start off. Where are you located and what time is it?
It's 10:40 p.m. in India right now, and I represent the Kolkata chapter of AA-ISP. So yeah.
Great. Well, Cyan is not only a chapter president, but the founder of 221 Baker Street. He's going to talk to us today about this topic of personalization. We've talked a lot about it at conferences, and I believe it's missing, but it's a key for salespeople to hyper-personalize to help them prospect. So that being said, Cyan, why don't you go ahead and get us started? And I know you have a presentation for the viewers today.
Sure. So what exactly we are going to talk about right now, it's going to be mostly for the B2B perspective. So, and I've tried to create a bit of a future why we should be going more on the personalization basis. And I've taken some examples from my own personal life. And we are going to also showcase you a few examples where we actually close deals with biggies like Microsoft for different geographies and things like that. That's what exactly is going to be the main focus of this presentation. So let me tell you first that I was in Egypt last year, and it was in the month of December when Vodafone was putting up 5G, stands over there. They were having telecom conferences where they want to implement in a country like Egypt, like in even where the connectivity is not that great. They're planning to really implement 5G connectivity by 2025. Now imagine for the decision makers who are currently in developed nations and things like that, the more the internet connectivity is going to be increased, the number of channels to really reach to the decision makers will be more better, and there will be multiple channels to reach out to them. Now, among this deluge of the information when a decision maker is submerged, how exactly can we really gain the attention of that person? How we have been able to do it, and that's what exactly I'm going to showcase you in some few minutes. I've also put up over here small statistics which Google really told a few minutes back, and that's one of the reasons, or that's one of the parameters of the which Google is nowadays putting up. The faster the website is, the lesser the load time of the website is, the better it is, or the more it is, the more the load time it is, they're going to be penalized, and the page rank is going to be based on that exactly. So even with a website like a Google or a search engine major like Google, they found out that their traffic hits by at least 20% if the load page time is, so if it lags. Now imagine with the fact that, so why does something like that? Because our attention span has gone down drastically. So it's a classic conundrum which we are facing right now. Humongous amount of information surrounding us with multiple channels with faster internet connectivity, and also and the reduced attention span itself. So it's like inversely proportional, which we have right now.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, how to really create impact to those decision makers when we are sending them, that's what we are going to talk about right now. Yep. So I've showcased you a really real life example over here, which one of my friends did forward me. It's something like this, that salespeople nowadays, to gather the attention, they try to really try to apply many methods over there. Over here, you can see that my friend, what he did was that he put over here that, okay, he classified this thing. So there's a scarcity scare, maybe a guilt trip, or a budget grabber. Everybody tries to put their own way to really reach out to the decision makers over there itself. But the biggest problem which it is there, that a decision maker can sniff a sales pitch very quickly. And that is the reason for which, even with the HubSpot coming up and everything like that over there, we have really done our research over there and we've seen that thing, even in spite of the fact that, however they might talk about hyper-personalization over there, the most important thing which the human society is missing, and which is also very necessary for in the B2B marketing is a conversation. Yeah. How to really converse to a decision maker like a decision maker itself. And within a very short span of time. Now, how to do it? It's very simple. What we propose and what we try to do is that I believe every person across the world, in fact, posts something or the other on the social media. I'm talking about on the official one, be it a Twitter, be it a Facebook, or something like that. They do really post on that. My question, I'd love to ask you, Bob, actually, that why do you think that a decision maker would post something on their LinkedIn page or maybe on their Twitter page? Why do you think that actually?
Well, they some of the time they want to be known as a thought leader, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
putting out good content.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's done to attract other people into their network.
Mm-hmm. Apart from that, we have seen multiple times that people actually do post something which is very like what they're very proud of their organization they're doing, or maybe a corporate social responsibility, or maybe many times they even take their political stands. Actually, to be very honest, they say that, or maybe even for LGBT rights, because that's what we have been tracking for the last 2.5 years. What people are posting on their LinkedIn page or Twitter page as well. Now, the reason for their, as you mentioned, that they want to grab the attention, but also that's what their mental, they somehow find a mental resonance with that topic over there itself. So for example, if I really post something about maybe what my organization is doing for pet animals or maybe homeless people, I'm very sure that I do have some sort of a mental resonance with that thing, and that's why I'm posting over there. Apart from the achievements or collaborations or Series A fundings or things like that, which we see often in their posts. So to exactly cash on that sentiment, what we do is that we try to really, on that point of time, try to have a conversation with them based on what they're posting on their social media, because that's what exactly starts off a conversation with them. So the first one-liner is going to, so what we do is that at first we analyze what they're posting on that, and based on that, we put a one-liner with this so that we can have a conversation based on that. After the one-liner, we put the marketing pitch. So it's not like that the very first time we are putting up a question over there. Okay, you know what, maybe there's so much predictive analysis. If they're from a predictive analysis software, they have, your solution is great, but I believe that our sales organization can really assist you in giving 25% more appointments or something like that. I believe that's what every decision maker is getting day in and day out. Yeah. Maybe within 9 a.m. in the morning, they're finding 4 messages like that. So to really cut that out, what we do is that what we propose is that, you know what, why don't we really have a conversation with them and then append on that. So to move on to the next part, so there's a funny meme I put over there, how to create the icebreaker. Like, so what do you call a foreign penguin an icebreaker? So that's what we have tried to do, how to create an icebreaker, and that's what exactly our conversation is going to be. LinkedIn, surprisingly, used to have that amazing feature before with that bulb button. Actually, whenever you used to put a bulb, LinkedIn used to have that feature before, which nowadays I'm very surprised, which we don't find it. Like when you click on that bulb button, and especially it was there in their, their app. Whenever you used to click on that, then they used to have this option, start your conversation with this. And they used to even give options, multiple options over there. Like, for example, you can see it over there. Hi, Mark, I read your post book review, the 5 levels of leadership. Or many times you get LinkedIn news as well, connection in the news, what they have posted recently, what exactly it is there. These were the sort of topics which they used to, or maybe somebody has shared their work anniversary or something like that. Or even if somebody has gone for a trip or something like that, even that used to come up over here and something like that. But unfortunately, we nowadays don't see that feature of LinkedIn anymore, which was a great feature, to be very honest. And that's one of the reasons for which we started off our own thing. So let me give you the example which I was talking about. Like, Zimasa Moyo is one of the global talent transformation heads of Microsoft. Now she works for GE. So what we found out that she posted something like this, like Microsoft proudly supports diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Now, we went out, that's why we called my organization as 221 Baker Street. We wanted to see that this lady, we have to go and see why she has posted something like this. And we found out that she is actually, her hometown is from Johannesburg, and we all know how much important it is there in the case of diversity and inclusion in the workplace. That's an extremely important thing. And that's the reason for which we actually post over here like that, you know what, Zimasa, thanks for accepting the invite. And I loved your recent post about Microsoft's diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So that's the one-liner which we try to create about what exactly they're thinking about, what they're posting about. And we have kept it very crisp, not really making it really big or something like that, or garrulous actually. Then after that, we append the marketing pitch which we were of our client. That's immaterial, but the most important thing is that we first, based on whatever they're posting on their social media, we are creating that one line. And straight away we get this kind of responses. Hi, Dana, thanks. What is the cost? So this is exactly the way we are actually trying to reduce the sales cycle. This is one of the steps. We take multiple other steps, but that we can talk about it later on a different topic altogether, how to reduce the sales cycle, where I also have a lot of examples over there. But this is the way I strongly feel, and the more and more the internet connectivity becomes better, and the more and more channels, like there will be video marketing, there will be a lot of other channels of marketing as well, to really gather the attention of somebody, that has to have to be on a conversation basis, has to have on a basis what they are thinking upon, and I have to have a conversation based on that. Why would somebody really have a conversation with you when that person is extremely busy? The only way which we have found out for the 2.5 years is one of the best ways, I would say, one of the best practices, I should say, actually, is to make it absolutely hyper customized. And that's what we do for every person who we are reaching out to it. So in LinkedIn, you can find 70 to 75 decision makers per day.
Right.
You can send it, not more than that, actually. And once somebody have accepted that, we try to send them everybody a completely tailor-made messages, which really assists us and really solving and getting intentions, be it any organization. That's what
one of the questions I hear a lot from sales managers is, how much time is enough time to find something personal, or how much time is too much time? I think a lot of leaders fear that their reps are spending too much time on LinkedIn gathering all this personal data and not enough time outreaching. Do you have an opinion on that?
Absolutely, of course. I would definitely tell you that from my team's perspective, what we have found out that it takes only 5 to 10 minutes based on one person. Now, if we really see that when somebody is making a cold call or sending an email is a different story altogether. There's so many great softwares have come up, but even in the case of cold calls, if you are trying to make a cold call over there, you have to at least spend 2 minutes to read about that person.
Right.
Then to get hold of that person, once again, the probability of getting hold of that person is pretty less.
Right.
So even if you get hold of that person, that will take, in the transfer or something like that, that will take at least 5 to 7 minutes of your time. So it again comes down to the same 5 to 10 minutes of their time itself. But the best part of over here itself is the cost and effectiveness of it. In a LinkedIn, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry, that's good. I was gonna, besides calling, if we look at emails, right, mass automated emails that you try, maybe you personalize a tiny little bit, something like, I know in your industry you're struggling with this, or given your role, which is not really personalization, but the reply rate to that, the open rate is dismal. The reply rate is not good at all. You can draft an email and send out a couple hundred like that, but the reply rate and the conversion rate of a hyper personalized email, it may take you a couple of hours to put out 5 or 10. That reply and conversion rate is a lot greater. And what do you see with hyper personalized emails versus just mass automated emails? What do you see as the difference in the response or the conversion rate?
Well, I'm just showcasing once again a middle part of it about the hyper personalization. I can really talk about multiple things, about the right targets. Number one, finding the right target and intent. So once again, if you are just sending 10,000 emails, I'm just giving as an example, the problems with that, first of all, is that, have you ever first checked that whom you are sending those emails? Have you seen that those organizations does have that intent to buy your thing?
Yeah.
There's a difference between a carpet bombing and a sniper shooter. I want to say that. So you might do a lot of carpet bombing, but that does have in real life also a collateral damage. But in the case of sniper shooter, you have the right person getting down.
Yeah.
So the first problem in the case of mass emails, apart from, we all know it, the open rates and everything like that, I would rather focus on some more ignored factors over there. The email security has increased, and their accuracy has increased a lot. Whenever an email coming from outside the network over there, the email securities nowadays flag it a lot, actually. I can tell it from my personal experience, but Microsoft has their own policies on there. If there's Office 365 accounts, and if there's an email coming from outside the Office 365 network or something like that, they straight away flag that over there itself. So there are a lot of problems about the effectiveness. So you are putting your domain in danger. That's the first point I would rather put over there, that you're putting your domain in danger by sending thousands of emails. Second of all, out of 10,000 emails, you might get a standard success ratio, whatever it is. But once again, that person might once again say that, okay, you know what, let's have a chat on 10 p.m. next Wednesday or something like that. But how you are ensuring that person has really understood or read your email over there itself? That brings on to another cascading effect over there, that when that person, either that person might not come on the call because that person has not really understood what exactly they have been emailed about,
Right.
or even if they get on the call itself, your sales cycle will be dragging on that point of time. The reason is pretty simple, because the people might have got on the call, they have forgotten completely 4 days back. They might have said that, okay, you know what, I'm fine, I'm free on that point of time itself. That drags your sales cycle substantially and more over there itself. And finally, the cost of, which I will definitely talk about the cost part and cost factor as well. You have to subscribe to the softwares actually, which does cost a decent amount of money nowadays actually. But in the case of personalization, you don't have to really pay for that. All you have to do a proper research, I would say. Yeah.
Good. What, you know, we talked a couple of months ago about really some of the best tools to use. Obviously, LinkedIn, that's probably one of the most widely used tools. Maybe it's not used properly. It needs to be used more for hyper-personalization. Is there anything else you would recommend from a tool standpoint?
Brilliant, Bob. I would say that we both are thinking on the same direction, and that's exactly the next part of the presentation is tools beyond LinkedIn.
Perfect. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So what I'm going to showcase you is that there's one report which I personally sometimes very much use. That's called the Crystal report. So Crystal is a Chrome extension which you get, and Crystal has an amazing idea or an amazing, characteristics which talks about what are their aspects or the psychological aspect, what kind of a person that person is. You can see that Tiger Fact, for example, is a VP of sales of Americas of Tanium. Tanium is a great organization actually. So you can see that you can find over here, Tiger works like a general, bold, pragmatic, skeptical, extremely goal-driven, and most comfortable with control. Quick tips, meet them head on and speak logically. What is their type? What kind of greetings they prefer, what kind of their preferences are there, what are their likes are there, what are they avoid as well. So you can get a great insight of that person actually nowadays. Right. And also what they do, in fact, many times, that if that person actually has, if many times Crystal can't really pop up the results of maybe a geography, like maybe in South Africa or something like that, okay? What on that point of time Crystal does is that if you can just copy paste their email content, like what have been the conversation with that person, with for example, you had a conversation with Tiger over emails, okay? Now over the emails, if you copy paste that information to the Crystal tool over there, if the Crystal can't show the example of Tiger Feg, what they do on that point of time, based on their own analysis over there, they can throw results and they can say that, you know what, this is what they are. Apart from that, sure, please go.
No, I was going to say, and this can help before a phone call or even before a meeting or before you write an email. You can take some of these things into account.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So there are actually some more practices which we personally follow, but from the tools perspective, we can definitely talk about this actually, where we can really showcase you over here. People, for example, Rodrigo Gonzalez, who's the CEO of Clarif Software. So you can see that Rodrigo is a pragmatic, and I've given 2 examples separately. In the case of Tiger, he might be a very straightforward, general kind of approach. Rodrigo is a different person. So you can see that this are the kind of, you can do it clearly. And they have a complete analysis over here, what kind of person is there.
Good. Cyan, this has been very, very helpful. I know we got a few minutes remaining, so you have a couple other things you'd like to cover.
I would, great. So I would rather, first of all, say that it's reducing the sales cycle is, even the hyper-personalization is not going to take you further. I would rather prefer to have a separate conversation on that, but still, as we have a couple of minutes left,
Yeah.
Okay, that's done with my presentation. Now I have to answer questions. Okay.
Okay.
So,
I have just a couple for you. How do if you're a sales rep and you're kind of relying on marketing emails, you're not writing your own hyper personalized emails. We'll start with emails. What advice would you give them? How did they get started at that?
sure. So as I was telling you that it's more important that even hyper-personalization is not going to take you a quite lot of distance, because I feel that it's like a jigsaw puzzle. All those parts needs to be fit properly. So at first I would say, please go and find out what are the intent, what exactly is the intent of that person. Do you really feel that person is really having the intent to buy your product? And there are a lot of telltale signs of that thing, which we can find out and which we can really talk about it, through which you can find out the right decision maker, and then do the hyper personalization part on that person. Consider the fact that if I'm barking to a tree, even with a great personalized email as well, it's not going to help. So it's part by part. The first part should be like that. Second part about the hyper personalization is going to be, of course, I'm going to talk about like how people, as I've shown you the example, what they really think about, what they really are proud about. Consider the fact about case studies. Many times we also present case studies as well. Not present, but talk about the case studies. If they say that, you know what, we produce a 34% productivity increase by our this predictive analysis software or something like that, or maybe through their chatbots, that can be anything. Read through the case study completely and make it, and please go through that which is absolutely latest, because that is extremely important. If we go through those latest case studies or something like that on that point of time, that means that person will understand that these guys are really prepared. These guys know what we are talking about, actually. Yeah. And finally, the part which is about how to qualify that more. So this definitely does, the first two stages definitely does qualify a substantial amount of time. But there is another phase where you need to really understand that why that prospective client is going to be somewhat right fit for your organization, and those needs. So there are a lot of account-based management solutions which have come up nowadays, but we don't believe in most of them. The reason is that you assume many things out of that.
Right.
So once again, you have to find out those information right from the horse's mouth directly.
I'm hearing you say throughout the presentation, do your homework, be prepared, find out what's important to the prospect, what's important to the company, what they're proud of. Listen, we've been talking about getting more personalization into the sales process. This has been very helpful. So I really appreciate your time, Cyan, and thanks again for sharing with us. Before we go, real quick, 221B Baker Street, what do you guys do?
221B Baker Street is mostly working upon hyper-personalized or sentimental or EQ-based messaging, actually. So we do, right from, in the case of B2B marketing, we first look into, we do the market analysis, which I'm talking about. Once again, hyper-personalization is not going to work. It all has to be hand in hand, actually. Yeah. So at first, we do the market analysis, see what the existing clients of the clients which we are representing. We see that what are their existing clients are. Based on that, we read their case studies. We understand why they have succeeded in maybe a retail vertical. Maybe they have succeeded greatly in retail. So then we are going to plan and reach out to the retail. Then again, what are the decision makers it should be? Should it be, if it's a security organization, why should we go out to a CISO more than a CIO actually? Then after that, going out to the right LinkedIn profiles, finding out their email campaigns, then qualifying the appointment. And as I've mentioned, we'll talk more about how to create more qualification of the appointments actually. So it's the end-to-end thing from market analysis to highly qualified appointments. And also we do warm lead nurturing as well, warm opportunity nurturing, which has been maybe lying still in their stable for a long time.
Great. Well, thank you so much again. I know it's late there, and we appreciate you joining us and sharing your tips on personalization. Good luck with the chapter, and I'm sure we'll see you at a future AA-ISP event. Thanks again, Cyan. Thank you, viewers, for watching this. Until next time, everyone, good selling and good personalizing as well. Bye-bye.